Welcome back to EtherLink AI Insights. I'm Alex, and today we're diving into something pretty unique, an AI Vision Quest happening in Finnish Lapland. Sam, when I first heard about this, I thought, why are we talking about wilderness retreats on an AI podcast? But the more I learned, the more it actually makes sense.
Right? And that's the whole point, isn't it? Most people hear retreat and think team-building exercises and trust falls. But AetherTravel's MindQuest is fundamentally different. It's about using nature as a cognitive tool for AI leadership development. We're not talking about a vacation with some lectures thrown in.
Exactly. So let's start with the basics. What actually is an AI MindQuest? Because the name is catchy, but I want to understand what executives are actually signing up for.
It's a 7-day immersive program that combines 3 elements: serious AI instruction, one-on-one mentorship from AI architects, and intentional nature immersion. The Finnish Lapland setting isn't just scenery. There's actual neuroscience behind it. Harvard research shows that exposure to complex natural systems activates the same brain networks you use for strategic planning and systems thinking.
That's fascinating. So you're literally rewiring how executives think about abstract AI concepts by putting them in an environment where they're observing complex systems in real time.
Precisely. University of Michigan research found that nature-based learning increases knowledge retention by 47% compared to traditional classrooms, while reducing decision-making stress by 38%. Plus, the midnight sun phenomenon and the TIGA forests create what cognitive scientists call restorative attention capacity. Your brain can actually absorb complex material without overload.
Okay, so that addresses the how. But why now? Why is there suddenly this urgent need for an AI MindQuest specifically for leaders?
There's a massive leadership AI gap right now. McKinsey's 2024 survey found that 55% of executives say their AI implementations are failing because of insufficient leadership understanding. But here's the killer stat. Only 23% of C-suite executives have had formal AI strategy training. That's a disaster waiting to happen.
And I'm guessing traditional online certifications and MOOCs aren't cutting it?
Not even close. Information retention drops 70% within 72 hours without reinforcement. Executives take an online course, pass a test, then return to their offices and nothing actually changes. They don't develop practical skills, they don't understand regulatory requirements operationally, and their teams don't see behavior change. The silos remain.
So the MindQuest model addresses that by combining education, mentorship, and this transformative environment. What does that actually look like day to day?
The program includes what they call Golden Prompt Stack Training, a proprietary framework for actually engineering prompts that drive measurable business outcomes. That's not theoretical. You're working with your AI mentor on real challenges your company faces, and you're learning techniques you can implement immediately.
And then there's the EU AI Act compliance piece, which is huge right now.
Critical. The EU AI Act is now in effect across EU member states, and non-compliance carries penalties up to 30 million euros. Most executives have no idea what algorithmic risk assessment actually means in practice, or how to detect bias in their systems. The MindQuest covers that, but in a real operational way, not just checking a compliance box.
So there's this 90-day transformation protocol too. Talk about that, because 7 days seems short for lasting change.
That's actually brilliant design. The 7 days in Lapland is intense, but it's not the whole program. When you return, you have a structured 90-day roadmap to execute what you've learned. You're not going home with a certificate and vague intentions. You have accountability structures, ongoing mentorship access, and specific milestones tied to your organization's AI transformation.
And that makes sense because you mentioned earlier that companies lacking AI-literate leadership experience, 34% higher failure rates in digital transformation. So this program is directly addressing that risk.
Exactly. Gartner's data backs that up. The executives who attend the MindQuest aren't just learning about AI in the abstract. They're learning how to lead AI adoption in their specific organization, with their specific constraints and opportunities.
I'm curious about the personalized mentorship angle. Is that one-on-one throughout, or is there group learning too?
The program includes both. You have dedicated one-on-one time with AI lead architects who specialize in organizational transformation. So they're not just teaching you AI concepts, they're coaching you on how to implement them in your leadership context. But there's also peer learning happening, which is valuable when you've got other founders and executives wrestling with similar challenges.
That collaborative piece seems important. You're not isolated in your struggle with AI adoption.
Right. And the Finnish Lapland setting actually facilitates that. You're away from your normal environment, away from email and constant interruptions, so you can actually have meaningful conversations with other leaders. That doesn't happen in a hotel ballroom at a typical conference.
Let's talk practically for a second. Who should be attending this? Is it just for large enterprises?
The program explicitly targets executives, founders, and innovation leaders, so it's not just Fortune 500 CEOs. Startups and mid-market companies are equally vulnerable to AI implementation failures, and their leaders face the same compliance pressures. If you're making strategic decisions about AI adoption, this applies to you.
And I imagine the cost is non-trivial. So how do organizations think about ROI?
Well, consider this. A single failed AI implementation costs a mid-market company millions in wasted resources and opportunity cost. A C-suite executive getting AI literate in a way that actually sticks, where they understand both the capabilities and the risks, that's preventing catastrophic mistakes. Plus, the compliance training alone avoids potential €30 million penalties in the EU.
So the program essentially pays for itself if it prevents one major misstep or helps you navigate compliance correctly.
Exactly. And that's before you account for the business opportunities you unlock by having leadership that actually understands how to leverage AI effectively. The organizations that win in the next 5 years won't be the ones with the fanciest AI tools. They'll be the ones where leaders can think strategically about AI adoption.
One more question, the nature component. You mentioned the taiga forests and the midnight sun. Is that just nice atmosphere, or is it integral to the learning?
It's integral. The program deliberately uses natural immersion as a cognitive tool. Your brain is wired to recognize patterns in complex systems. That's how humans evolved. When you're observing a forest ecosystem or the dynamics of Arctic weather, you're engaging those same pattern recognition networks that apply to understanding AI systems, transformer architectures, and algorithmic decision-making.
So it's not a distraction from the learning, it's accelerating it.
Absolutely. Plus, there's the stress reduction component. Decision-making quality drops when you're cognitively overloaded. By learning in an environment that reduces stress and actually restores attention capacity, you're able to absorb and integrate complex material more effectively.
So if listeners are intrigued by this idea, and I think they should be given the statistics we've discussed, where can they learn more?
The full article on AetherTravel's AI MindQuest program is available at etherlink.ai. It goes into much more detail on the curriculum, the mentorship structure, the post-retreat protocols, and how it all connects to real business transformation.
Great. Sam, final thought. If you're a leader struggling to understand AI or worried about compliance, is this something you'd recommend?
I'd recommend it strongly. The AI gap is real, the regulatory pressure is real, and the cost of failure is real. An immersive 7-day program with mentorship and a 90-day accountability structure is one of the most practical investments a leader can make right now.
Brilliant. Thanks, Sam. And thanks to all our listeners for tuning in to EtherLink AI Insights. Find the full article on etherlink.ai, and we'll see you next time.